The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah!
Go Cowboys!
This is Talkin Cowboys. Streaming live from the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
C.D. Lamb, touchdown.
Parsons has sacked it. Prescott keeps it, and he bangs it in for the touchdown.
And now your hosts, Isaiah Stanback, Patrik Walker, Josh Rodriguez, and Kyle Yeomans.
Welcome to Talkin Cowboys. We are live from the Star in Frisco, Texas. Welcome everybody. It is a Talkin Tuesday, basically. We're talking on a Tuesday. I'm here with Patrik No C Walker. I'm here with Nick Eatman. It is Talkin Cowboys storyline.
When do you turn? I was
Talking
like, when does he turn?
I always have to wait for the intro.
I was wondering how long that
wait
is.
for the intro.
I got it.
That's right, 'cause you don't have to turn.
No, I don't. Not really.
Yeah,
You never got a turn, man.
It's a thing for us.
I like this.
I'm over there.
I like actually, talking to other people. I mean,
You do talk to other
in the studio.
Okay.
In the studio.
Well, you don't want to bring Rob? He can have a show spot. There's 4 chairs.
RP.
Rob Phillips?
RP.
No, Rob in Vegas.
Oh, Rob in Vegas. I thought you meant right. He said Rob.
One for Ali.
Well, whenever you say Rob, my brain is always going to Rob P.
Yeah.
That's king.
Rob from Vegas. Yeah, he's gonna have some things to say tomorrow.
No.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, we'll see.
He's always got
if
stuff
you
to
had
say.
Rob from Vegas here, you'd have to keep the censor button right here.
Yeah.
And just hover your fingers. So it's like beep.
Yeah.
Beep beep.
Well, we're gonna be ready for tomorrow on that like that. But anyways, that's for tomorrow.
That's for tomorrow,
Yeah.
guys. Obviously, we had of course, new head coach Brian Schottenheimer that was announced. We had the introductory press conference yesterday, but I kind of want to bury the lead here. Obviously, that happened. We have the press conference to talk about, but I kind of want to walk through what the last week has looked like for you guys. Obviously, as staff writers of DallasCowboys.com, obviously as the editor for DallasCowboys.com, I kind of want to walk through the timeline and basically get a sense of what last week looked like leading up to this decision.
Well, I'll say this: it starts early and it ends late. So you're not just because you're not at your desk working doesn't mean you're not working and grinding. And if you know, you know. Our guys worked hard. And trying to chase this thing down. I know Patrik's a big part of it. I get more text messages from Patrik and Tommy. As far as things that we see and all that. And that's the thing. Offseason to me is so much harder than the regular season, because regular season is like, all right, you know exactly what's coming. There's going to be a press conference tomorrow. There's going to be locker room. You get there. But this is like, maybe there's something, maybe there's not. Your head's always on a swivel.
There are more things important than a clock.
Yeah, that's true.
Facts.
It's
just facts.
That is true. That was a good answer because I don't know if I love the question, but just because it was like, there's no timeline on
right.
things like that. And that's the thing about the offseason. You don't know when things are happening, but you just always have to stay ready. And I think, so I'm talking about the process part. Patrik, you talk about his actual question of how things developed, how we got here.
Well, it
was unexpected.
Well, yeah, it was unexpected, wildly unexpected.
And you had him on the list?
Yeah, I did have him on the list of 20 candidates. And I know some kind of looked at that and said, no shot. Even I didn't list him as a front runner as far as internally. Internally, I listed Mike Zimmer as the front runner. But then with that being said, I said it's up to Zim to decide that he wants to continue coaching. And right now, as we have the conversation, the expectation is that Zimmer is going to probably retire from the NFL. But that being said, he won't be back as DC because we expect Matt Eberflus will reunite with the Cowboys, and that news could drop at any moment. Mm-hmm. To your point, it could come out
anytime.
Of left field, right field, center field. But the process was, obviously, it led with the informal conversations with Dion, and then, of course, unfortunately, that colored the remainder of the search because everyone then was expecting hoping the Dion thing would be a thing. But as we sat here on this panel and said, it was never really a thing, right? There was some interest there, but it didn't have enough traction to make sense. That's why there was no formal interview. So then they move on from that. For the most part, you get Leslie Frazier in here, Robert Saleh, Kellen Moore, and everybody was panicking because they thought Kellen Moore would be would return. And they have questions about, is he a leader of men and things like that. So spent the entirety of the weekend after Kellen Moore's virtual interview basically watching Twitter coronate Kellen Moore as the head coach and then what happens on Monday. out of the darkness comes that horse, Brian Schottenheimer. And basically they never really looked back from there. Pete Carroll had a very real chance, but they couldn't agree to terms, and so here we are. So it was definitely a roller coaster there. And then you talk about the assistant coaches starting to leave: Robert Prince, Bones Fossil, Al Harris, who I spoke with, and he told me that, he's agreed to terms with the Chicago Bears. So, and this is just the beginning. We're not done. They have an entire staff to build around him now. So, tight ends coach, is Lunda Wells going to be back in the building, hopefully. So, offensive line coach, flip to the defensive side of the ball. Assuming Matt Eberflus is in, who's he putting as linebackers coach, or is he going to try to handle that particular task because he's done it before, right? So,
Scott Tolzien reported.
Scott Tolzien is out, reportedly. He's choosing to not return. So, to Nick Eatman's point, man, there's so much that makes it more difficult this offseason because we don't have guaranteed access. So we, Nick, myself, Tommy, Josh, we have to track down this information. It's not coming to us like on a Wednesday in a press conference, on a Thursday in the locker room. We got to make.
You got to go find that.
Yeah, so we're still working it, and the Cowboys, they crossed the first finish line in choosing the head coach, but there are several more finish lines that need to be crossed.
Selfishly, is there a sense of relief now that we have a head coach?
Yeah, I mean, selfishly is a good answer. It's a good word, because I get asked a lot, like during the season, last few games of the year, do you want a new coach? You think McCarthy should come back? Selfishly, I hate coaching searches for everything that Patrick just said. I don't like them. Now, are they necessary in this case? Yeah, probably.
Absolutely.
And it seems like it was. So because it's tough to deal with, because everybody now with the media's got it. Source here. This is happening. This.
I heard several different ones. It's like, oh, it's done.
Yeah.
Deal is done. You know, and it was several different names that it's like, okay, and then you're starting to cope with that throughout the day, and then 2 hours later you hear another thing. So at that point you kind of
I did include you when I said Patrick and Tommy. I did include you because if I remember correctly, I think Josh actually told me the news. I'll just leave it at that. Okay, it's happening. I'm like, okay,
I kind of have a source here and there, but
he's plugged in.
Just
Josh
a tiny,
guy. He's
just a
plugged
tiny
in.
bit. But like I said, the news was kind of changing each and every day.
Yeah.
And as a fan, I had to kind of cope with decisions that I didn't necessarily love right off the bat. But now we're here. Now we have the name picked. It's official. We had the introductory press conference yesterday, which I want to get into. Obviously, it happened. It happened of course, it was late Friday night when we got to announce it.
Yes, it was.
And now Monday morning when we have the press conference, big deal. Obviously, a lot of people in the upstairs, the big hall, as he said. What was the temperature in the room before the press conference versus after?
Well, I know what you're
about 70.
Well, I know what you're. No, it actually wasn't. It was more like 85. I don't know.
The sunlight.
We needed curtains in that place up there. I'm sorry.
He said it.
I was like,
I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it.
It's getting hot. But anyway, no, I know what you're saying. And we're jacking around here. I guess this is what we get.
This is Talkin
Cowboys.
Love it. Yeah.
Let's go.
No, if you could win a press conference, he won it. Okay, if that's possible, that's not the wins that has to happen here. I understand that, but he did a really good job. I the whole leader of men I think, well, we already know that. I mean, we already saw with the guys coming up, and Dak is the leader of that. A lot of guys too, a lot of coaches as well. Coaches that have already been signed. Some coaches probably still looking for jobs. Right. Some of that could be like,
hi,
hey, I'm here.
I showed up.
Remember me? Congrats. Still, though, I just think he's got people's respect, especially the players. And I think he got a lot of the media's respect, too. And it sounds like some of the fans, too. Hey, it all sounds good until you lose a game, or you see what happens and you lose the fourth quarter, and you make a bad decision, and then the bullets will be flying. But as it stands right now, I thought he did as good as he could do to change some perception.
I agree with that, because a lot of fans that I'm speaking with, and they're reaching out to me, social media, I'm getting a common thread in that they did not realize how impressed they would be with Schottenheimer, as far as his ability to speak and his ability to go the extra mile. So, for example, take the question that I posed to him. That was not an easy question. I was basically asking him straightforward. I was like, hey, how are you going to modernize this offense? Tell us what this looks like. He not only answered, but then what impressed me even more was when he had provided a sufficient answer for me, but then said, let me explain more. Yes, by all means, do so. This is a very high football IQ guy, right? He's born and bred in football. Talk about his dad and his just family, the Schottenheimers. But as much as we have rightful concerns like we talked about on the podcast yesterday, the fact that this is his first NFL head coaching job, the fact that we don't know what Schottenheimer's offense looks like because he wasn't the one calling plays, and we'll get to those concerns. But as far as winning the press conference, I believe he absolutely did that. He's won a lot of fans over just me looking at the fandom, and the temperature warmed up to him as far as the fans are concerned. Leader of men was never a question, and definitely solidarity there. You see Brock Hoffman, DeMarvion Overshown. You see Dak Prescott. You see the entirety of the strength and conditioning staff. You see coaches that are not even under contract sitting there just showing the solidarity.
And
What do you
like we
think?
talked about,
I was curious on what you thought about Schottenheimer as well.
I was. This is something that's been brought up a lot on Cowboy Storyline, and as a fan, I listen all the time. And you're right about quite a lot of things. But one of the things that kind of always pops up for me is like the interest is always going to be there if you're, a fan. You know, you're going to get upset when we don't make it to the Super Bowl, and that cycle is going to start repeating. It's. I mean, at this point, it is a 30-year drought. There's kind of an abusive relationship going on with loving the Cowboys, but I mean, seriously, it's toxic.
It's toxic.
And then when we come back around to training camp, I think you're going to get a lot of people that are excited again. You're going to see a lot of the changes that are made, hopefully in free agency and the draft, because we always. There are always draft picks that you can be excited about when it comes to the Cowboys because you have Will McClay in charge in that respect.
That's a good point. And I feel like you need to build from the inside out. I think that the Zach Martin pick was such a great pick. And if you can get another pick like that at 12, get a guard or tackle, that's going to be great. But the excitement from Oxnard, if you get Ashton Genty or a player or even Missouri receiver, which I'm not a huge fan of at that spot, but
playmaker and difference makers and more building blocks because you saw the building blocks there yesterday at the press conference. You saw the guys that are going to be here for a long time that are going to be able to build this team around you that you want, right? As far as what he said, I was very impressed. I liked what he said. And I guess kind of what gets caught up in a coaching search like this, where you have a lot of, you had big name coordinators out there that were taking that next step and becoming head coaches that like, okay, I wish we would interview this guy. I wish we would interview this guy. And a lot of that is caught up in X's and O's, whereas Schottenheimer was very clear to be like, it's, the X's and O's will come. Mm-hmm. It is about being a leader of men, and it is about commanding. His opening statement very much said that, and talking about his legacy as well. I had a quote here. He goes, "I'm ready now. I know what I want. I know what it looks like." Yeah. He also says, "I'm going to get a chance to do what my daddy didn't get, which was a Super Bowl, if it kills me." Things like that, I think, are going to flip a switch for certain fans, because if you hear something like that and you can relate to that at all, it's romanticized. Right?
Yeah, he seems like Jason Garrett, but less robotic and more like a person. No, because Jason Garrett.
No, I say that from a fan perspective.
But
I heard the collective.
Jason Garrett, hey, he's a leader of men. He can stand up in front of the room. Fair. You ever heard him stand up in front of the team and talk to the team? He can do that. Yeah. He can do that. I
don't know that the X's and O's were quite there for Jason Garrett, but I know what you're saying is about instilling a culture.
Right. I think you could go and we saw he walked by us the other day and yesterday and shook our hands, talked to us a little bit. I think you introduced yourself one time. I think he knows your name. I think that's kind of the way he is. And that is. Oh,
you've heard that multiple times. People person.
Yeah.
When it comes to him.
But it's gotta lead to that. And there were some really interesting things about his personality that I kind of saw that I just liked it.
Well, there are two parts to this. First part is saying the right things. Check.
Yeah.
He's done that. Now it's doing the right things.
Of course.
So, and it's like I said on the podcast yesterday, I loved nearly everything he said in that press conference yesterday. Now it's show me your love for pre-snap motion, as you said, because now I'm going to hold you accountable to it. You said it. Now we're all going to hold you accountable. Pre-snap motion, cut splits, and things like that. Not establishing the run for the sake of saying you established the run, but establishing the run so that you can play off of it with the play action for Dak Prescott. We are
making those plays look the same.
So credit to him, credit to him for being transparent and putting that out there, knowing full well that now you're going to be held accountable for that. And that the first part, the fact that he was being transparent and communicative with that, now that should give you some type of optimism, because he's not ducking and dodging. He's not giving you these prepackaged answers. He's saying, this is how I want the offense to go. Great, wonderful. Now when training camp gets here, part 2 is, let me see if you prove this.
All right, boys, let's take our very first break. When we come back, we need to talk about some of the comments made by Jerry and Steven in the press conference as well, and some of the hard-hitting questions that they received as well. So when we come back on DallasCowboys.com, we will be back after these messages. Oh, something like that.
If you're looking for fresh American roasted coffee that gives back, you need to head to your local grocery store and pick up a bag of Black Rifle coffee. That's right, America's coffee is now available in the coffee aisle of a grocery store near you. Black Rifle Coffee Company is veteran-founded with a mission to give back to those brave men and women who have served our nation. Every bag, box, or can you purchase helps support that mission. Head to your local grocery store and roast yourself some Black Rifle coffee today.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the Playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
If you shout, "How about them Cowboys?" you have that undeniable passion that's the heart of Cowboys Nation. And if you like to drink Dr. Pepper, you love the unique blend of its 23 flavors. Together, your one-of-a-kind fandom paired with the one-of-a-kind taste of a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper is the game day lineup that can't be beat. Better yet, gather your Cowboys and Dr. Pepper fan friends to watch the next game and crack open a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper for everyone. The wins will be even tastier. It's a pepper thing.
Back to Talkin Cowboys.
Welcome back to Talkin Cowboys. Sponsored by Black Rifle Coffee, the official coffee sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys.
Wow.
This segment is brought to you by Quaker Oats, the official oatmeal sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. You know where you can get your oats?
Alabama's head coach
On the
basketball.
It's on the internet, dude. Use the Quaker code. It's
all right.
right there.
Sick.
I don't
Pretty
know.
sick,
I'm
right?
sorry. The way you opened that up, I really thought.
I saw you lolling down.
I thought Gravedigger was about to take on Bigfoot 3 at the stadium or something like that. It was just like Sunday.
And if you didn't notice, I'm not Kyle Yeomans. Kyle Yeomans is
What?
Alabama. Yeah, I know. As is Tommy
The
Yarish,
resemblance is uncanny.
which is why he's not here. I mean, he stole the beard from me a little bit.
Yeah, and you guys have the same hair, so
That's true.
I don't know.
No?
He's got you beat 3-0.
They're in Mobile.
Kids.
Oh, yeah, he does.
Yeah.
But I got
no,
him,
he's got dogs.
I got him beat in free time. You know?
Okay, well that
You're winning that, okay? You always win that.
And
that goes
sleep.
against us.
Get sleep, yeah, for
Okay,
sure.
just rub it in.
I don't know. They did a 6 o'clock.
No, pause, I caught that.
They did a 6 o'clock press conference or 6 o'clock. I think it was some kind of podcast in Mobile. This
Did they?
morning. 6 o'clock. You're getting players down there.
6 a.m.?
They're working. Oh yeah.
Oh, they're always working. We work, folks.
Oh, yeah.
Even when you don't see us, even when we're not
Even
in
if
the
we're
office.
ducking out of the office a little early, guess what, buddy?
We're working.
I'm on this thing. I'm taking this with me. That's why it works.
Works. Ever been on call before?
Mind your business.
No? All right.
But yeah, Tommy's over there too.
Yeah, those guys are cooking up something nice for the draft show.
We got a little Talking Cowboys storyline mashup for you, all right?
Right.
Okay, so we need to talk about comments made from Jerry Steven. Patrick, I liked it, man. I like the hard-hitting questions.
I appreciate that.
I mean, it's like you're a journalist or something. I don't know.
Rumor has it. I don't know. Unqualified.
tell us the questions that you asked and tell us what the responses were and how you perceived their responses. Because, of course, there's going to be a lot of workaround when you ask direct questions like you did. I want to know your interpretation of those.
Well, first, when you're going into an inaugural press conference for a head coach like that, and you have so many people waiting to ask the questions, you're going to get the expected questions, which would be, how do you feel? What did you feel when you first got the news and things like that? And those are rightful and justifiable questions that you need answers to. You want to get his mindset going into a big gig like this. But I really wanted to take that opportunity to kind of dive into the minutia of it. So with Schottenheimer.
Good word.
Thank you. With Schottenheimer, I wanted to get past the superficial part of, okay, well, the offense is going to look different. Okay, what does that mean? So I asked him about the modernization of the offense. What does that look like under a Schottenheimer era? And feeding off of some things that Jerry and Steven had said. Steven said something that really stuck out to me when he said the offense needs to solve for the quarterback. Okay, well, what does that mean in regards to Dak Prescott's skill set? We know as analysts that Dak excels at play action. In order to have play action work, what does that mean for you as the play caller going into this year? So I love what he said about cut splits and pre-snap motion. And one thing about McCarthy, I will give McCarthy credit in that over the course of his 5-year tenure here, he evolved to do more motion, but it became inconsistent. So even after in games where it would work, he'd have 60% pre-snap motion and they would blow the doors off of someone. The next game, it would kind of dip down, and then you'd find that there was a correlation in them struggling. Sounds like with the whole Jerry saying Schottenheimer, quote unquote, air quotes, bit his lip several times during the McCarthy era, which is no shade to McCarthy. It's just basically saying there was a difference in philosophy there. I wanted to hear what Schottenheimer's answer was. And I loved what he said. It was succinct, it was clear, it was transparent, and it did not provide any fluff. He basically looked us in the eyes without giving his whole playbook away and said, this is what you can expect going forward. Wonderful. Second question was about free agency, roster building, cap manipulation, and management. Question directed,
which is the elephant in the room.
Yeah, question directed towards both Jerry and Steven. When you look at a team like the Philadelphia Eagles, who have operated a certain way in free agency and never used the cap as an excuse, and now they're back in the Super Bowl, we consistently hear that the bill's going to come due. Not to say that it won't, but certain teams like the Eagles, the Rams, they continually find a way to keep the bill from coming due. What can you take away from your opponents? Because looking in the mirror only gets you so far. The art of war dictates that you also have to look at the other military generals and say, that's what they're using against us. I'm going to turn that around.
As Sun Tzu said,
and use that against them. I love what Steven, the majority of Steven's answer I loved, because he took full accountability in saying, yes, we can do better. We do look at teams like the Eagles, the 49ers, the Rams. We do try to take some of their practices. Again, said the right things. We'll see if that translates in this year's free agency. Jerry was Jerry. And that's...
Yeah, his stories, for sure.
Jerry had the stories. And nothing Jerry said surprised me, because Jerry is always going to give you the Jerry answer. So for that, that's the best way I can describe that. I wasn't disappointed or excited. I was neither of those things. It was exactly what I expected Jerry to tell me. But from what Steven told me, I saw a glimmer of hope. And as far as what Shotty told me, as far as the play calling and what that might look like, I really got optimistic about that. So again, now just show me.
I was a little surprised by Jerry calling him a risk like 23 times.
Big risk.
Yeah, big risk.
Biggest risk.
Yeah, this is a huge risk. He's right here. He's standing right here, but he's huge risk.
He was treating him like the 5-year-old Bronco. He's the Bronco.
Yeah.
Can't have it all. So
right.
So we got this guy.
I think
don't do that, Jerry.
No, I mean I was impressed with the way that Schottenheimer handled himself, and then with it was an emotional press conference, and then Jerry got emotional too a little bit, just because you start talking about family with Jerry, whether it's real life, whether it's on a TV show, the Landman or whatever. And even if it's someone else's family, because you can relate. He called his mama. He said that. He called his mama. And so he understands that stuff. So there's a lot to take from when they talked about deference too. And I said this on the radio this morning. They asked about McCarthy and Schottenheimer working together and how much difference there was. I'm like, the fact that they hired Schottenheimer is proof enough that there were some changes. Because usually you look at this offense and be like, all right, we got to move on here. We got to move on. No, play caller, offense coordinator, we got to make changes. But the fact that they said, all right, Mike, we're going to move on, but we're going to keep Schottenheimer.
Yeah.
That makes me think there were a lot of biting
of the lips.
A lot of that going on. And so that they just see things very differently. And let's hope so, because this team wasn't prepared at all. I mean, they don't score coming out of the game. I've said that a million times. They don't just come out and score.
Right.
No.
What are they doing all week long? What are you doing all week? You should have your 15 plays scripted. Read out punt.
One of the more frustrating things whenever McCarthy would have a press conference after the game and talk about how, I wish we'd have leaned on the run a little more at certain. I'm like, dude, you're calling the game.
Yeah, you're right. That I never understood that. You're right.
The irony is that sounds a whole lot like
the
previous play caller who Mike McCarthy stood on the podium and basically lambasted indirectly.
Threw under the bus a little bit.
Right. After the loss to the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers. Kellen got dragged indirectly. Jacksonville as well.
Game too.
When he said you gotta
run the ball.
Right. Fast forward to last season, and now it was like,
yeah, interesting.
I mean, the irony here for Mike is very interesting when you think of the last 3 years, where your defensive coordinator here and your offensive coordinator, is over here playing in the championships games together. One's a head coach. Kellen Moore's probably going to be the head coach in New Orleans, I would think. And then then your next offensive coordinator, who you didn't even want to call plays, is now calling the plays and is the head coach in your job, and you don't have a job.
Yeah.
But also to add to that little twist, assuming Kellen Moore that means he will have beaten out Mike McCarthy for the Saints head.
I don't think Mike's getting that job in New Orleans, and you don't get one this year.
He'll be fine next year.
You think?
I say that because, and you've covered the NFL long enough to know that time makes people forget the worst things, right?
Yeah.
So if he sits out a year, when the next cycle comes around, number one, he might have a better opportunity than some of the ones that are out there right now. But also, a lot of these GMs and owners, they're going to forget the sting of a 7-10, and they're going to remember the 36-15 that preceded it. So that year off, if it's to happen, I don't think it will hurt him at all.
I don't think the college route would be too bad for him.
That's interesting.
The way that NIL is now, and the way you're managing money and you're managing these egos and agents and all that stuff, it's a lot more pro style than it ever used to be. I think,
that would be a
I could see a Big Ten school, and I don't know one specifically. Just something where, a good quality program looking to kind of make a mark and say, well, that's a Super Bowl winning coach. He's coached.
How's Arkansas looking?
No, we're good. We have that guy.
Okay, you got your guy.
They're about the same. We got that guy. Okay. So no, that's not what I'm talking about. Thanks.
He go back to Pitt? I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Something like that, right?
Yeah,
Pennsylvania area.
I like that. I would like to see McCarthy in that aspect because he is absolutely a leader of men. You can't take that away from him.
No,
and he
not.
motivates, and I could see him absolutely connecting instantly with these younger guys. And like you said, with NIL and how you can kind of equate it with free agency, yeah, he might be able to do some damage at the college level.
Hopefully he's not calling plays. Anyways, let's go to Schottenheimer again. Once again, we have a new head coach. Eben, you had a one-on-one with Brian Schottenheimer, which is excellent.
Thank you.
And it's on DallasCowboys.com. Shouts also to Roxanne Medina because the production on that video is
stellar.
A+, man. The cinematography, the B-roll, the production, just really A+ on all efforts. And then, of course,
Cronkite over here.
Yeah. And
I loved it. I love being able to do that. And, it was I didn't know when I walked in this morning, I didn't know that was possibility. So you always got to be ready. But I love the fact, he came in and, he was worried about his tie. He was like, let's make sure this tie is right. You know what I mean? He goes, Jerry and Steven didn't have a tie on, so this is the last time I'm wearing a tie. So he was like, let's get it.
I was surprised he didn't have his visor on at one point.
True. He did say, we'll be getting that visor on for sure. I'll be honest, I've never understood the visor.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
I mean, I think it allows more air up here.
It just seems like Texas Stadium to me. You got the hole in the roof. I mean,
it's like wearing sunglasses without having to wear sunglasses.
I guess so.
Keeps the sweat. I don't know. I could see it.
Just throw on a LeBron and get it over with. Just put a headband on and get it over with.
As for the interview, no, it was good. And here's something that came out of that I noticed a couple other times. This is something that is a small detail, but I think it could be a bigger thing when you're talking about communication. I asked a couple of questions, and which maybe they were bad questions, but he disagreed with. He also did it 2 or 3 times in the press conference too. Did at any point did you ever think at any point yesterday Schottenheimer was disrespectful in any way?
None.
No. But he disagreed with at least 4 or 5 questions. The way you disagree with people at lunch here on the show, you're like, I hear what you're saying, but as opposed to being like, no. You know,
dismissive versus
that goes a long way.
Challenge you on that.
Right. So the way you handle your assistant coaches when they say, I think we need to get this guy playing more. It's like, well, hold up about that. Or I see your point. Let's talk about it. The way he kind of can massage a conversation like that and say, not trying to make someone feel dumb or idiot, but say, I see it differently. Here's why. Mm-hmm. That can go a long ways. And so it's a small thing, but it could be a big thing when you're talking about how you handle people. That's one thing I really took from that. I loved his answer. I mean, I thought I asked the question of like, hey, what's a bigger challenge, the Super Bowl or living up to your father's expectations? He's like, I'm not competing with my father. You know, he just Serena Williams that thing right back at me. I was like, oh crap. But anyways, but I love.
But it was a great answer. Still.
Yeah, he still gave a great answer.
Expecting some volley.
Yeah,
I
got you here. You know, here's some Kleenex. Right. Watch this question. He's like, nah, I don't see it like that. Boom.
Gotcha.
All right, fair enough.
No, but it was good, and I think we're all going to be. I think we're going to enjoy working with him. I just think he. I don't know how old he is. 48?
52.
52?
Yeah, 52, yeah.
He seems 37. You know what I mean? To me.
He's got the younger.
He just kind of.
Wears a visor.
Kind of like a Dan Quinn, right?
Yeah.
Dan Quinn doesn't feel like how old he actually is because he connects.
Yeah.
He's able to connect and be that people person and be able to coach and have that conversation with you and disagree with you respectfully, but also offer up his take on it. So that's a.
Can you imagine 988 missed text messages to?
That's crazy. That's how many he had.
Yeah.
And he said all the people that love him. Like, I have like 5 people that love me, dude.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I love you, Josh.
But
thanks, man.
But he also
6.
He also said some of those are, hey, congrats, Shotty. You deserve it. ... So do you tight ends quality? You know I'm still out there, right?
Yeah.
You know I'm a free agent. So
control.
Which then, you know what he said? But you heard the next part. He goes, which I get because I've been there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the thing about a guy that does a lot of things. He's been on all sides of this. He's called the plays. He's not called the plays. He's not had the job. He's been out of work. He's
been the intern.
Yeah.
He's been the analyst,
And that was obviously a big sticking point for the Joneses. It's like he's only 52 and he has like 25 plus years of NFL experience.
Yeah. This is a great balance of this is new and fresh and also continuity at the same time. Those players know him, like him, but it's still new and fresh because you can't just roll out last year's stuff and say all the assistants back, all the free agents back, all that stuff. That's why I think they're going to be really aggressive. They're going to be active in free agency, not aggressive.
Careful.
They're going to be active,
Get
I think they're going to sign a lot more free agents than they have because they have a lot of spots to fill. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be Saquon type moves here and there, press conference type signings. I don't know about that. But I'd like to see 1 or 2.
Well, and to your point, Steven even said that yesterday. I think Shotty's the perfect combination of keeping somebody for continuity, but also affecting change. So
yes, you did say that. Yeah,
getting kind of the best of both worlds in that scenario, hopefully.
And that's with a team that's won. What we got? 12, and 7, 43 games in the last 4 years. I mean, like that. This has been a good team.
Right.
It hasn't been a great team.
But I think people talk like we won 3 games last year.
Right.
And now it makes you wonder, could it have been a great team if he didn't bite his lip?
I don't know.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
We don't know, but it's time to find out.
All right, boys, let's take our last break. When we come back, we kind of have to face the music because not everyone is happy about this move, and we kind of have to provide some silver linings.
Yeah.
We'll do that when we come back right after this break on Talkin' Cowboys.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag and Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag and Turf, the official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
Hey y'all, Matt Pittman of Meat Church here. With football season kicking off, I'm already gearing up to bring the smoker back to AT&T Stadium for some epic tailgates. But with that Texas heat, it's crucial to keep my beer hand cramping cold. That's where Yeti's insulated Colster can cooler comes in clutch. This year, you can even get them with the iconic star engraved on the side. Licensed Yeti Cowboys gear is now available at Stadium Pro Shops, concessions, and on Yeti.com. Check it out today. Yeti, official cooler and drinkware of the Dallas Cowboys.
And we're going to overtime.
Erica, how much have I spent on concessions?
For questions about their money, Dallas Cowboys fans can turn to Erica, the virtual financial assistant in the Bank of America mobile banking app. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/Erica by your side. Bank of America, official bank of the Dallas Cowboys. Erica responses may vary. Digital tools featured require downloading the mobile banking app and may only be available on select mobile devices. Erica is a mobile feature only available in the English language. Your chat may be recorded and monitored for quality assurance. Message and data rates and additional terms may apply. Bank of America, N.A., member FDIC.
Back to Talkin Cowboys.
Welcome back to Talkin Cowboys, sponsored by Black Rifle Coffee, the official coffee sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. This segment is brought to you by Invisalign, the official smile of the Dallas Cowboys. Nobody giving the pearly whites today?
I did.
I'll do it.
I did. You didn't see me do it. I did it.
We did it now.
I did it.
All right, boys.
Receipts.
Our final segment. We got to face the music a little bit. We've been talking. We're a little too positive on
What
this
kind
show,
of music?
all right? The angry music, like heavy metal. You know what I'm saying?
I said, I knew you were going to go metal.
Yeah.
I ain't going metal.
There we go.
We've been too positive?
Listen to a little Kublai Khan today. You know what I'm saying? You ever heard that, man?
No, I just would say Metallica. I mean, that's about all I've got.
My wife said that to me like when the first time we met. I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm in a metal band." And she goes, "Oh, like Metallica?" And I was like, "Oh god."
Does the people that really listen to heavy metal think Metallica is even metal?
Metallica is like dad rock, you know?
Like Will Smith is rap?
Well, I mean, like, yeah, like Metallica is like early. Their early stuff is great, obviously.
That's it.
And like all the music's great, but like at a certain point they became dad rock where they like cut their hair and they're like,
Yeah.
give me a few, give me 5. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, all right, man, chill
Okay.
out.
Just getting jiggy with it.
It's all good. It's all good.
Okay, so let's face the
Parents
music.
just don't understand. All right.
They don't.
No, I kind of want to talk about music now. No, all right. Let's face the music. The fan base, obviously,
There's too much music.
There's the music's pretty loud right now. You know, not everyone's happy, and I get it, man. I'm a fan
That's
too.
fair.
You didn't get much of it.
What was it?
There's too much music.
There's too much music. Yeah, I mean,
Too many
close.
movies. Not really. Okay, cool. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, not everyone's happy, which is completely understandable. You're not in the Super Bowl, and you're seeing the Eagles and the freaking Commanders and the NFC Championship, which is it hurts, man. It's not great. Jalen hurts, if you will.
Oh, wow. Knee slapper.
Hate it.
Dead.
But obviously, we're not.
Push you off that chair.
We're not in that position. We're not there yet, and it's not necessarily that close. What can we do? What are the expectations that you guys have going into the offseason to get us over the hump and to make a one-year change, much like Dan Quinn did with the Washington Commanders?
Sure.
I was going to exercise deference.
I get it, but you know this is your house.
First and foremost, you got to get active in free agency, and it's not simply the quantity; it is the quality. It's not about bringing in 4 running backs between May 1st.
It's also the currency.
Right, May 1st and July 15th and saying, hey, we did a lot, we were active. No, it's about, doing things like, number one, looking internally and saying, can we retain Rico Dowdle, who deserves to be retained? Maybe comboing him with Ashton or something like that in the draft. But you got to get active in free agency internally, but not using the internal retentions as a way of justifying not being active outside of the building. So try to keep Eric Kendricks, Oso Digizua, Jordan Lewis. Try to keep Rico. Try to keep those names in the building. Rico! That's a Talkin Cowboys thing.
You do a little salsa dance?
No, I don't. But I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the fact that you set that up on purpose just to get the music and just to roll the R. I love it.
It's chemistry.
I love it. This is great.
Aren't you married into a Hispanic family? You
right.
Do a little salsa here and there.
Well, it depends on what kind of chips they are, and yeah, I can do that for sure.
Get active in free agency, and honestly, let's just keep it frank. Ditch the excuses, all right? Because I understand the salary cap is a thing. I get it. But for those of us, the capologists, we also understand that it can be massaged and manipulated. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm not buying a lot of the things that get sold. And I say it on the podcast, and I say it in press conferences. I understand how it can be finessed. So retaining Osa Odigizua, for example, that would be a big one. Don't then look at me and say, well, we did this, so we can't do that. Well, actually, you can, because here's a trigger here, here's a trigger there. Pull this, release this person, make it work, right? Howie Roseman does it in Philadelphia. Sean McVay and those guys, they do it out in Los Angeles. It can be done, so do it. So go out there in free agency. There are going to be some whales. We understand that they're not going to go in free agency the first wave and really get super active in that. But if you give me one of those guys and then several meaningful guys thereafter, as opposed to throw some running back names out there that we had last year that didn't even make it through training camp. It was like
Saquon.
Right.
No.
Oh.
On the team.
Oh, on the team.
Right. There were we walked into training camp with like 10 running backs.
Royce Freeman.
And
Nathaniel Pete.
Malik
Pete.
Davis, right?
Well, Malik
he's on
here.
practice squad,
still
right?
here.
Okay.
But my point is you quite literally had like 8 names, including Hunter Lipke. 8 names. But how many of those names were meaningful? Ezekiel Elliott was brought back. In the end, it turned out to be Rico's show, which it should have been in the first place. That's what I mean. Don't just throw bodies at the problem. Throw the right bodies at the particular problems and kind of start from there.
We're not asking you to throw out the pie. Just make a new pie.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm saying stop using the pie as an excuse. Because there's a way to bake the pie where it can be delicious and everybody can eat, as opposed to saying, "Oh, well, I only know how to make pumpkin." Learn how to make apple. Learn how to make cherry. Learn
sweet potato pie.
Sweet tater. Let me tell you about that sweet tater pie. It's something good, is what it is.
Not rhubarb.
It's rhubarb. So, respectfully, just make it work, because we've seen that other teams can make it work. So look at what the enemies are doing. Look at what the opponents are doing. Take the strategies that are helping them be successful and their strategies they're using to beat you.
Do we
adopt it?
I mean, go ahead and answer. Sorry,
well, I think a big part of it before you even get to free agency is the guys you have here that you've invested in, like they've got to take that leap. Like if Tyler Guyton doesn't live in the weight room this year, then that's going to be on them or on Tyler Guyton. And he's got to want it. He's got to want to do that. Like he's a first round pick, and they didn't get
production.
They didn't get 5th round production out of him. I mean, really. I mean, they didn't. The end of the year with Chuma Edoga. I mean, I thought that was going to be a couple of weeks into training camp, and then he takes over. And at the end of the season, like week 16, 17, he was a better option for them to evaluate talent because of just how better he was as a player. That can't happen. So these other teams, the Cowboys have drafted well, but the last 2 years, your first-round picks are not guys that are even starting all the time or competing for Pro Bowls or any of that.
And you need guys to hit, like you said, like Sam Williams coming back from this injury. He was supposed to hit last year, but he tore his ACL. You need him to hit this year, so that's a good one.
To pivot, this is my last question for the day. Obviously, with the draft coming up, and I think I don't know if we have the draft show coming up. Anyways, sorry. But
not today.
When it comes to the war room, do we think Schotty's going to have more of a say in the players that you're drafting than Mike McCarthy?
Yes.
I don't know about more. I mean, I don't know about more than
The reason I say yes, and let's qualify it, or I should say let's quantify it. When I say more, I don't mean that it's guaranteed to be light years ahead of what McCarthy's input was. More in the aspect of what I gleaned. One of the things I gleaned from the press conference yesterday is Steven. This is taken from what Steven was saying, is that they understand the position they're in with Schottenheimer, right? They understand, even when you talk about how many times Jerry said risk in identifying Schottenheimer, they understand that they got to put the pieces around Dak Prescott, and they got to put the coaching pieces around Schottenheimer. This is a first-time NFL head coach. Unlike with McCarthy, you don't have the luxury of leaning on his Super Bowl experience and one of the winningest coaches in NFL history to say, oh, we can throw you some scraps and you can make this work. You don't have that luxury. This is a new NFL head coach. So you have to go in with a different mindset instead of yourself. We have to be more aggressive in all of the things that we do. Does that mean that we turn ourselves into the Eagles? Doubtful. But you can't continue to do what you've been doing and using the experience of your head coach as an excuse to not be aggressive, because the experience is not there anymore. So that's what I mean when I say yes. So doing some things differently, I do think they'll go to Shotty more often and say, hey, what are you looking for? What do you need? Tommy talks a lot about alignment, and I love that he does. I think this will be a more direct alignment between Will McClay, Stephen Jones, and the head coach, which currently is Brian Schottenheimer. That's what I mean.
That's fair. I mean, I definitely think the thing about the draft, though, is there's so many key players in free agency that they're just not going to re-sign them all. Yeah. I think they're going to have some holes to fill in the draft. You don't want that.
Several.
You don't want that. You want to kind of Band-Aid it up here in March, and then when you get to April, you can be able to take best player available. I just don't see that happening. I don't see, so if you don't re-sign Osa, I think you're going to have a problem at D tackle. If you don't re-sign Jordan Lewis with Diggs injuries, you're going to have an issue at corner.
Kendricks
at linebacker with Overshown's injury. So, and then you look at Zach Martin potentially retiring, and then, just Guyton's his development isn't there. So the O-line's is an issue. All the running backs are free agents. That's going to be they're just not going to be able to piece this together in free agency to the point where I think there's going to be holes in the draft. Well, so that's why it's kind of hard to say what happens.
It's going to be hard to be the team that picks best player available, because you will have holes regardless.
Last thing I'll say, and this is piggybacking off.
Unless you have a lot of holes, then you're like, well, just you just best the
best player available.
Best available need is what I always say. I always say it's banned. It's a best available need, and there's going to be a lot of them.
There's no way you're going into this draft without some kind of voids that need to be taken care of, because you have such a long list of pending free agents inside the building. So even if you keep Osa, Jordan, and Eric Kendricks, for example, you still got the Zach Martin equation. You still got some depth issues because you don't know what Kalen Carson looks like in year 2 coming off of a season-ending injury, so forth and so on. But that being said, again, if you go back to how to massage and manipulate the cap, it'll be sold to you as, oh, well, we have to pay Micah. Well, if you pay Micah now, then you actually free up tens of millions of dollars in salary cap space for 2025, like immediately, that you can then use to go shopping in free agency to help out as far as your BPA or your band approach is concerned in free agency in the draft. So the sooner you get deals like Micah's done, the more cap savings you actually have. It's not until after the contract is about to expire that you do the extension. Right. That's when you get penalized for waiting. So that's what I mean when I say, handle it how some other teams are handling it. Adopt some of their strategies. And it's not that none of your strategies are working. Some of them are, right? But identify the ones that aren't, see who's doing that thing better, and then marry those two things.
All right, boys, we're a few minutes over. That'll be it for Talkin Cowboys.
Storyline.
I know, it's Talkin Storyline. We're leading into it. I know. Thank you, Nick Eatman, for joining us.
No, this has been great.
Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Tommy. Thank you, Isaiah, who's not here. Shouts to my Rich Mocha.
Are you going to
Isaiah, stand back.
Is he going to do the thing?
No, I'm gonna. No, it's a trademark thing. It's a copyright.
You got to do it for Rob.
No, I'm good.
What is that?
I was going to see.
Oh yeah. Thank you for listening to Talkin Cowboys on a Tuesday. We'll be back with you next week. Thanks for tuning in. DallasCowboys.com.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!